The annual Christmas pageant at Davidson College Presbyterian Church is a treasured tradition that goes back well over 8 decades. The service of worship has been known by several names, led in several settings, including as a living tableau in front of the congregation house during COVID, and it has included a variety of features, including sometimes some dancing, or in the case of last year, some singing.
I have traveled.
Throughout the years, 2 things have remained constant: that the service is led by youth and children of the church, and that attendees bring gifts of food to share with hungry neighbors. Lifelong DCPC member Van Leer Logan shares a little background on this service with us.
Van Leer, how long has DCPC been doing a gift service?
Well, longer than I can remember. I think it goes back, way back into the early times of the church. And it is probably the most beloved service, to people who grew up in the church, it is the most beloved service of the year, because it was our service. It was totally the responsibility of the young people, the junior high and high school aged students, or middle school, age students. It was totally our responsibility, and we took it very seriously. And it was like you had arrived. You were old enough to be in the white gift service.
Do you know why the service began and why middle schoolers and high schoolers?
I know why the service began. This was, even when I was growing up and way before, when my mother was growing up, this was a very small town. It was a very rural town. It was not a wealthy town, and this was not a wealthy congregation. And there was a great deal of poverty in and around the town. And the Board of Deacons knew who was in need. And there was a strong feeling that everyone should have a Christmas dinner. And so the idea of the service was to bring to the Christ child the fixings for a Christmas dinner. And the church, maybe not at the beginning, but when I was coming along, the church bought a turkey for each family that was to receive. And a box was prepared. And I remember my mother carefully at the store buying dressing, a vegetable, a cranberry sauce, a sweet, something for dessert, so that there would be a complete Christmas dinner in each family's box. And they were wrapped in white paper, partly because it was pretty, but also because if you had bought, cheap peas as opposed to Le Sueur peas, nobody would compare, I think, because this was a very sacrificial service. This was not a wealthy congregation. We had, when I was growing up, this beautiful sanctuary, and the congregation on Sunday morning filled about a quarter of it, if that much. We all sat right down here in front of the first line of columns, and it was and particularly in the Depression and during World War II, this was not easy to do, but it was so important. It was so important to bring these gifts to the Christ child. And the young people of the church were chosen, and we were told that this was our gift to the Christ child and to the congregation. And it was totally in our hands. And in the service itself, there was always a director. There was an adult who directed it. But the only adults that you saw that night in the service were the organist, and at the end, the minister who stood up to give the benediction. And other than that, everything was, the choir were young people, the readers, and I was always a reader. I never was an angel.
You were never married?
I was never married or an angel, no. But I have a friend, Jane Holland, who remembers that she was an angel teetering on the ledge behind the communion table and praying that she wouldn't fall off. Now remember, there were so few of us that once you had the requisite 3 wise men, maybe a couple of shepherds, Mary and Joseph, and a couple of angels, that was about it. And the choir and 2 readers, that pretty well covered the...
Well, you answered one question, and this will be the last one. Any other memorable moments besides Jane Holland teetering behind the community?
Well, one time a angel did fall off and hit her head. That was unfortunate. But for the most part, it was the most beautiful night of the year. And people still, when we get together, we talk about the white gift service. It was a gift to God and to baby Jesus and to the church, but it was also a gift to us because it meant that we were trusted enough and loved enough by the congregation to be in charge of that service, to be trusted with that service, and that was so special.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.